So you want that one versatile lure that can do it all? Well, today I'm going to show you 3 retrieves that's helping tournament anglers cash in thousands of dollars. Let's get to it. See, everybody and their mama know this first retrieve. Everybody literally just cast it out. Might count it down, let it hit the bottom. And then you just immediately begin to just a slow to steady retrieve. No, that's a nada. We ain't doing that. See, instead, what you want to do, instead of casting it out and just slowly retrieving, cast that sucker out there, let it hit the bottom if you want. A lot of times that's what I like to do. I really like to work the top to the bottom of the water collar. I want to target every fish I possibly can. But once you get done with that, you're ready to start that retrieve. Start that retrieve on a steady, slow to medium. But instead of just doing a slow, steady retrieve, just do it for about 3 to 4 turns. And you just speed crank that handle real quick. Then you do it 1, 2, 3, speed crank it. Almost just like a jig or a swim bait or something. You can really target some of those active bass. Or they're not active. Sometimes you can just really trigger that reaction strike. You just throw it out there. And you just pretty much every 3 to 4 turns, you just crank. And if you don't want to crank, you can always just do 1, 2, 3, slap your rod one time. 1, 2, 3, pop that rod. Really make that worm look like there's something wrong with it. Make it look like it's wounded. It's not swimming in a straight line. You want it to look unorthodox. You want that bass. You really want to get that bass attention. You want that bass to make a split-second decision. Because if he think it's wounded, he know he had limited time to eat this meal before it get away because you're constantly retrieving it. It's easy money, 1,000%. I never do the standard basic retrieving. This right here is going to either trigger a bass to bite. Oh, I almost thought I had a fish. I thought I had one. See, with this first retrieve is guaranteed money. I just love it because it sets the tone for that entire day. It lets me know right then and there, are the bass going to be reacting? Do they want something slower? Do they want something faster? Who knows? But if they're not biting this, that's when I change up and I go to this next money retrieve that I'm about to show you right now. A little fun fact, in case you didn't know, a purple worm has been getting bit for over 70 years. It's pretty much a staple of bass fishing. So you must know these 3 retrieves if you want to succeed and to catch more fish on the bank. See, this next retrieve, this is my go-to retrieve when I know the bass are suspended or when they're super lazy. I'm going to cast that thing out. I actually think I just got bit. Oh, no, I didn't. Just hit some grass. But I'm going to cast that thing out. Let it hit the bottom. We're not going to barely use this reel handle this time. We're going to use our rod. We're going to let that thing hit the bottom, fish it just like a jig. Once it hit the bottom, all you're going to do is just lift up on that rod like that. You really want to bring it up to a 12 o'clock position because you really want to get that worm out the bottom. You want that tail to flutter. You want that tail to kick. It's going to fall back down. It's going to continue fluttering and kicking. And you want to target some of those bass that are just sitting down there chilling. You want to throw an easy meal. You want something that just kind of flutter right in their face. So I keep it on semi-tight line, reel up the slat, repeat the process. I let it sit for like 2 to 3 seconds. And like I said, when bass just on the top of the water column, this is when it works best. And of course, we're approaching those colder months of the year, so bass definitely are going to be suspended and more lethargic. This will definitely come in handy. Yo, no cap, this retrieve got to be like the easiest retrieve in the Texas book. We're not just dragging that worm. A lot of guys just like to constantly just drag it slowly. We can also do that. But like I say, I personally and a lot of other anglers, sometimes you just have to mix it up instead of just dragging it, especially if you have too much structure or too much grass on the bottom. Like I'm catching a lot of muck grass here in Florida or a lot of that yuck slimy grass. So I'm trying to keep it up out of there. I don't want to just drag it right through it. So like I said, I'm just lifting up out the bottom with that rod. I'm going to let it fall back down. The tail is going to do its own thing. I'm going to lift up, let that thing just fall. I'm going to watch my line too. Sometimes the line would thump or it would jump. And you got to pay attention to make sure a bass isn't taking off. But for this retrieve, I love a 7-foot rod, literally for all of my retrieves, honestly. But 7 foot to 7'3" for sure. You're going to need that extra leverage because as you're working that bait with that rod, you need that leverage to really be able to get that lure up out the bottom and above that junk that's down there. Let me tell y'all something that a lot of anglers are asleep on. The worm and the jig is literally almost in the same family. One's a worm, one's a crawl. But as far as the same family, they can be fished the same. You can swim them, you can hop them, you can drag them. I'm going to show you this third retrieve with this worm, and I'm going to show you how to fish it exactly like a jig, and especially around structure. So with this retrieve here, just like anything else, you got to cast it out there first. You're going to let that thing hit the bottom, of course. And I'm just going to count it down. I'm going to count 5 to 6 seconds. So we know it's not super deep. It's not super shallow either. So we want to work this thing on the bottom. We're going to keep it on the bottom. This time, instead of hopping it and pulling it forward and letting it flutter with the tail kicks, we're not doing that this time. This time, I'm going to show you how to trigger a reaction strike from a bass that's down there chilling. This is for those bass that they don't want to hit anything weightless. You might have tried the previous retrieve. They're just not hitting anything that's just floating down in their face all subtle. Sometimes bass just aren't hungry. You got to force them to eat. So I like this retrieve when I'm fishing jigs in general, but a worm can also produce reaction strikes, and especially if you have grass, for sure. Okay, so my lure is on the bottom, and what I want to do, I'm going to keep my line semi-tight, not super tight, and all we're going to do, we're going to double stroke that rod. Instead of lifting up and letting it fall off subtle, we want an aggressive jump or an aggressive hop out the bottom. So we let that slack a little bit, and we're going to just jerk the heck out this rod. We're going to snap it 2 times real quick. You got to keep your reel in the palm of your hand, keep your line semi-tight, and you just slap that rod. Slap it, jerk it, pop it, whatever you want to call it. And this retrieve is great because say if you're down here in Florida or anywhere down south or anywhere with grass in general, and right now I can feel my worm stuck in some grass, a big clump, matter of fact. So instead of just slowly reeling that thing in and dragging it back to the bank to clean it off, you want to use our rod to pop that lure free of grass, and that's how you generate the reaction strike. So when I feel it load up on grass, I'm going to snap my rod 2 times as hard as I can and really try to get that grass off of it. Because if the grass covering your worm, you're not going to get bit too often. So we got to free it of that grass, and once it pops free, it almost looked like it was wounded or struggling to get away from something. And sometimes a bass will see it and they'll just come and smash it. Bass are predatory feeders, so you know they're going to hit anything that looks like an easy meal or a free meal at that. This retrieve also works if you don't have grass, but it works the best when you do have grass because it's popping itself free and it really just looks like a free meal for the bass. So even if you don't have it, still give this technique a try. Anglers all across the country do this with worms and the jig. Like I said, they can be fished literally the same way. Both of them can create reaction bites, and you really just can't beat it. So we're just going to double stroke that worm, and once you get bit, it's going to be a strong bite. I can promise you, it's going to try to thump that rod out your hand, so hold on. Okay, so now I just showed you 3 guaranteed money retrieves. Let's talk about the gear. I always love to throw a worm on medium gear, rather a spinning or a bait caster. This is a bait caster. For instance, this is a Ducket Fishing Pro Series medium, a Gary Klein version. One of my favorites, and I just think it's great overall. Use my code BLV10 if you want to buy any rods, reels, sunglasses, or lures from Ducket Fishing. But just grab your favorite medium. It really doesn't matter, spinning or bait caster. Go ahead and get it rigged up. And I love to throw like a 7 to 5 gear ratio reel when I'm doing anything that's kind of like dragging or using my rod to work baits. I want to use that reel to help cover up a lot of slack in my lines, especially when I'm getting bit and the fish runs off with all of that slack. I got to be able to catch up with them because sometimes they hit it hard and they try to take it home to mom, I'm telling you. And as far as the weight, I always love me a 3/16 ounce bullet weight. That is a black tungsten weight, for instance. Even have me a bobber stopper. I will always recommend one if you're fishing around structure. It helps you come through that grass cleaner, and it keeps you away from getting wedged up in hard structures as easily too. And as far as the worm, just a June bug red speed worm. If you're here in the South, June bug is like money. That June bug color and the worm in general just been getting eaten for over 70 years. So it's like, how could you not have it in your tackle box? I'm confident you're going to catch a fish. I'm hoping you're confident as well after you just learned these guaranteed 3 money retrieves. I don't know what you're still watching me for. Get out there and break that PB. Catch you a 10-pounder. I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. We out.